CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Developing story and bad traffic to tell you about in View Royal at this hour. There's been a serious crash on the Trans-Canada Highway at the Helmkin off-ramp. These are pictures from the Drive BC webcam taken at 4:30. Showing emergency vehicles and traffic stopped on the off-ramp. Traffic has been reduced to one lane in the area with a detour through the on and off-ramp. Northbound traffic is backed up back into Victoria past the Admirals and Mackenzie interchange, almost all the way back now to the Uptown Centre, and it'll be a while before it clears out. So folks being delayed by that getting home tonight. Another animal cruelty investigation has brought charges against the owner of a 2-year-old German Shepherd found beaten and bloody and barely clinging to life, left in a Vancouver dumpster. The Crown has charged 26-year-old Brian Whitlock with animal cruelty. In July, you may recall, a dog named Captain was found wrapped in a bloody blanket after people in the area heard cries coming from the dumpster. Despite round-the-clock care for the dog, the German Shepherd died the day after. Whitlock makes his first appearance on the charges in Vancouver on Friday. If convicted, he could face a 5-year jail sentence, up to $75,000 in fines, and a lifetime ban on owning animals. 2 men who are accused in the murder of 19-year-old Maple Battalion made their first appearance in court today. Battalion was an aspiring model and actress and Simon Fraser University student gunned down on the SFU campus just over a year ago. Her ex-boyfriend, Gurjinder Dhaliwal, is charged with first-degree murder in her death. His lawyer says Dhaliwal intends to plead not guilty.
I'm hoping that the public can understand the cornerstone of our legal system, and that Mr. Dhaliwal, my client, currently is presumed innocent. And I know that that is often difficult, especially for family and friends of a victim in a case like this with the profile that it has, but I think that it's important for the public at large and our community to understand that.
What I find amazing is that Sarbjeet, Maple's mother, is finding it hard for the families of those 2 men. Even through all of this, she's struggling with how they might be struggling, which speaks volumes to them and the people they are and the family bond that they have.
A second man, 22-year-old Gershamar Betty, is charged with manslaughter and being an accessory after the fact. The next court appearance in the Maple Battalion case is December 17th. The University of Victoria cancelled classes for 1 hour today in recognition of the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. From 11:30 till 12:30 today, students were encouraged to join a circle of solidarity against all forms of violence. Speakers addressed the crowd with messages of hope, saying that everyone has a role in preventing violence. The university says although this day is designed to recognize women, it also wants to expand the discussion to focus on other forms of violence as well.
That's one of the things we were trying to do, was to move away from a sort of singular focus on violence against women to look at the broad spectrum of violence. So that's something that we really hope people will take away. Another thing is the fact that we can all work against violence in our daily lives. We can all find a way to resist violence, and so to encourage people to think about what they can do in their daily life to resist violence.
A national day to recognize violence and women who are victims of it was established after Marc Lapine went on a shooting spree at École Polytechnique in Montreal in 1989. He shot and killed 14 women and wounded 14 others. A Campbell River father has pleaded not guilty by reason of mental disorder to charges of first-degree murder in the death of his son. Brent Warren went on trial in Victoria today. His 7-year-old son Jonathan died in July of last year after being critically injured in the family home. Court heard today that Brent Warren's wife woke up in the middle of the night to her son's screams. The little boy was being stabbed in his bed. Court also heard that Brent Warren was bipolar and had been off his medication in the weeks and months leading up to his son's death. A troubling story from Quebec tonight in Drummondville near Montreal, where 3 small children have been found dead in a home. Police are trying to determine how the siblings died. The bodies of the children, 2 girls aged 5 and 2 and their 4-year-old brother, were discovered late yesterday afternoon when police got an emergency call. The children's mother has been taken to the hospital. Police are waiting until she is in a position to be interviewed. They describe her as an important witness in the case. And there was something in the air in downtown Victoria today. A hotel was evacuated this morning as toxic fumes spread through the building. 2 maintenance workers detected the fumes at the start of their shift. They walked into a room that's used for mixing pool chemicals and were nearly overwhelmed. They called the fire department and the hotel was evacuated.
Our crews went in there fully scotted up with air packs. Alarm had gone off on their monitor, backed out, sealed the area off, pressurized the area, blowing out the fumes, but they weren't getting any less toxic.
It happened at the Parkside Hotel. Eventually, the CRD's hazmat team was called in to deal with the fumes. The source still being investigated, but the hotel thinks a maintenance worker closed up the pool last night and may have mistakenly mixed chemicals that shouldn't have been used together. The 2 workers who discovered the fumes were checked out by paramedics. They were not hurt, and there was no environmental damage. 6 members of a rescue team from CFB COMOX had to be rescued themselves this morning after their training boat hit a rock near Powell River. The 5-meter vessel Black Duck ran aground near Vivian Island. The crew was on its way to do a diving exercise in the area. 3 search and rescue technicians and 3 other military members from CFB COMOX were on board when the Black Duck hit a rock and got hung up.
It was not taking on water. But that being said, the crew had no way of necessarily getting off the boat in an expedient fashion, so a Cormorant helicopter was used to take the members off. Right now, the Coast Guard vessel Cape Caution is on its way to the scene, where they will make a determination on how best to recover this vessel in a safe and secure manner.
No one was injured in the incident. The dive training exercise continued with an added bonus of a real-life naval rescue mission. Well, commuters in the Fraser Valley have been rescued from gridlocked traffic and finally got to enjoy a much faster trip into Greater Vancouver today over the brand-new Port Mann Bridge. It's been 4 years in the making and billions to build. Today was the first time the traditional morning and afternoon rush hours were handled on the new 8-lane span, and it was smooth sailing. Reviews from commuters all day have been positive. The BC Rail scandal is now nearly a decade old, but a lawyer for the Auditor General is fighting to keep it alive. He is asking the courts to grant him access to confidential files which relate to the legal fees which were paid by the province. The government opened its books in relation to Dave Bazzi and Bobby Verk last year, but they did not include documents protected by solicitor-client privilege. The lawyer says the Auditor General cannot conduct a proper audit without seeing those files. Bazzi and Verk pleaded guilty in the fall of 2010 to breach of trust and taking bribes in connection with leaking government documents about the sale of BC Rail. And the province ended up paying their $6 million in legal fees. The province's newly formed Independent Investigations Office is examining a crash Sunday morning involving a motorcyclist and an RCMP vehicle. Investigators say the speeding motorcyclist was not wearing a helmet when he collided with an RCMP cruiser from Campbell River on Evergreen Road. The man was rushed to the hospital with serious injuries. Mounties are also investigating the crash, but so far no details of their investigation have been released. Homeowners who witnessed the remains of the collision say Evergreen is quickly turning into a very dangerous stretch of road.
The motorcycle was basically on the ground here and looked like it was in a few pieces. It's like sometimes like a racetrack. People turn off from Dogwood and race down here to see how fast they can get to the other end.
The civilian-led Independent Investigations Office became operational in September of this year. It investigates any incidents in which people die or are injured in encounters with police officers. For now, it's not clear if any charges are going to be laid against the motorcyclist. The Nanaimo RCMP believe a man impaired by drugs nearly crashed his vehicle into a Money Mart today. It happened at about 10:20 this morning near the intersection of Terminal and St. George. It appears the vehicle crossed the center line, jumped over the curb, and came to rest against the Money Mart building. The driver was taken to the hospital, not badly hurt. No one else was injured. A subcontractor working for a plumbing company in the Comox Valley says he followed the rule to call before you dig, but it didn't work. He says he hit a gas line where there was not supposed to be one. As a result, natural gas came pouring out into the Cumberland neighborhood this morning after the backhoe operator severed a major line. The man was contracted by a plumbing company, trying to figure out why a nearby homeowner had been without water for 4 days. The plumbing company says all rules were followed, including calling before digging, but the information given on the line seems to have been wrong.
Had all of the locates done by BC One Call, and it appears that initially that there may have been some discrepancies in the location of the gas main, maybe not being where it was shown, and they came into contact with the gas main, at which time they called 911, and Fortis BC and the fire department came out right away.
When fire crews arrived, they quickly sealed off the area and evacuated some of the nearby homes, waiting for crews from Fortis BC to arrive to help shut off the line.
Opened the door, and right away I could smell the gas. And I said, okay, Bob, get dressed, my husband, and let's get out of here. So now we're here. They said they have to pinch the line or something. Firemen said.
The line was severed just after 9 this morning. It was finally shut off just before 11 o'clock. Fortis and the Cumberland Fire Department are looking into just how the misunderstanding took place. Well, good news for staff and students at Vancouver Island University. VIU and CUPE announced today that they have reached a tentative deal on a new contract. No details being made public just yet, but both VIU and the union say they've made a major step forward. It's expected the deal will be ratified by the end of the year. As a result, there's no further job action planned on campus. VIU and CUPE say they want to extend their gratitude to students for their understanding and their patience during the collective bargaining process. Job action is also over at ICBC. The Canadian Office and Professional Employees Union, COPE, Local 378, has voted 71% in favor of a new contract. This after the 4,600 employees staged a 3-day strike as well as other job action. The contract includes a 4% wage hike to be implemented in stages, plus improvements to maternity and parental leave.